All right, we got Glasses in the house. What's going
Hey,
on, Glasses?
can't call it, man. Back from the Bay,
I
making it happen.
know. I missed that. I wanted to do that in person with you.
I know I'm a double back up there soon, but I just been. It was crazy. It was a lot more busier than I thought it would be.
My God. So, how did you get the name Glasses?
I got horrible vision. I
Uh
got
huh.
my name because everybody was making fun of me, and it was a big joke. And you fight enough people, and you win enough fights, and you do your thing, and it start carrying respect. So that's how I got my name.
So, tell me about yourself. Like, when did you when did you start using your talent? Like, what age were you?
I was grown. I was already 21, 22 years old.
Wow. Did
Yeah,
you ever
rap.
just like write, or you was just
Nah, I
freestyling?
didn't rap at all when I was younger. I got really good grades in school. Then I started hustling. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Getting involved with illegal activities, all the above, and started right there. I didn't find hip hop. Hip hop didn't find me till I was around 21, 22 years old. That's when I started putting pen to paper.
Wow.
My
You
little brother
just
got out of YA, and
uh huh.
he wanted to be a rapper, and he wanted me to pay for the studio time because I was having a little street money when he was fresh out at that time.
Right.
So I started paying for studio, and it was on after that. Started making songs
Oh.
that everybody in the community liked, and they grew faster and faster.
See, that's why I like our era because me and you are the same age. I just made 45.
Hmm.
And rapping now is different from when it was in our era. Like with everybody rapping, they actually went through it to tell the story.
Mm. Um, I mean, I think there is something to be said about people authentically explaining what they've been through. But then there
Hmm.
are some pretty dope orators that can explain what their friends went through. And
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it's super important for those guys to be represented too, because
Right.
it's a much greater connection when they know how to speak to the general population about our struggles. So I don't mind my side of hip hop where I'm explaining everything that I've been through from firsthand perspective and right there. But I do like the oratory feel of what other people do who kind of became translators to what was going on culturally in the community. You know what I mean? I like both of it. So, but I do
I like
think people all was from the exact same thing, even if
right.
they
Right.
weren't criminals, their friends was criminals. Maybe they didn't get into trouble, but their friends got life in prison. So it's dope.
Right. I like that terminology, translating. I like that.
Yeah.
You're right about that. So when you write your music, like what inspires you?
Um, it depends. Just 15 years as a professional in hip hop. Um, I can approach songwriting from so many different perspectives. I could take a song that I heard when I was a younger kid and make a song out of that. I could take something I've been through and make a song out of that. I could take something I'm going through and make a song out of that. I could hear a Dr. Dre song and then make my version of it. I could take a Michael Jackson song and make my version of it. I could see something on television and then translate that into a rap song. So many entry points for me when it comes to making records and making songs now. It's like hard to explain it as one thing. The music can
Right.
just inspire me to write something too by itself. Somebody could play a beat, EP can play a beat, and I just like it and start figuring it out. So I so many approaches at this point.
Like
It's funny.
you're
It's definitely a lot of skills. It took me a long time to figure it out how to do all of these things. To create all these entry points when it comes to making records and making songs.
yeah, because I saw one of your podcasts when you were talking about when you started really understanding hip hop
Hmm.
and how you started learning the genre, the different beats and stuff to it like that. Like, can
Yeah.
you go a little bit into that?
Like I started understanding it from a DJ's perspective. My DJ
Okay.
started explaining it to me from a DJ perspective, and then I noticed it was a lot of funk and West Coast hip hop. Then I noticed it was a lot of blues and Southern hip hop, and I noticed
Hmm.
it was a lot of jazz and and disco in East Coast hip hop, and I noticed there was a lot of R&B and Midwest hip hop. So that started me on this journey to just start discovering where all of this hip hop came from. Where all the samples came from. What
Hmm.
inspired them. Where are these people from? Motown is in the Midwest, so it makes sense that they use this kind of R&B version of hip hop, where a all-time great like Nelly, who uses a melodic style or twist or bone. They sound like doo-wop singers in front of a bonfire or in front of a barbershop, and you understand culturally how relevant it is. Um, how New York and on the East Coast is heavy jazz, and you can see it when you listen to Premier or Pete Rock. The South and the blues, and how we on the West just adapted to funk. Groups like Confunction and Frankie Beverly and Mays and so many different things. It just started making a lot of sense. But it was all in my studies over the last 12 years.
Right, right. What's three top artists?
Oh, Barry White one, right? Because
Uh-huh.
Barry White is like this independent monster that's from my side of the 110 freeway, that's not really credited. Um,
Hmm.
Big number one is Barry White. Um, Number two is the Whispers.
Okay.
Um, just two twins as lead singers. That's just incredible.
Crazy.
Um, Number three is Frankie Beverly and Mays.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I like what they do. I really, the more I get into them, and it's like this sultry funk, super smooth. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that
Right.
shit a lot more than I ever did as a little kid. I used to want my mom to cut that shit off. But as I grow up and I hear songs like Happy Feelings, I'll be like, yo, this shit is amazing. You know what I
Happy
mean?
feelings
Yeah.
in
It made me want to start cleaning up my house.
like I've seen a lot of collaborations that you did. Have you ever did one collaboration where you just was out of your comfort zone?
No.
You've always been yourself. That's what I like.
Yeah, I figured out a way to deliver me. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
and every version of myself. I've done gospel songs, all kind of blues rap songs, jazz rap songs, R&B rap songs. My mom raised me on a ton of music, so it's
Hmm.
easy to deliver that version of myself in the music. I mean, even if it's
Right.
gospel, whatever it is, I can figure it out. So I haven't
Was your
really been
mom? Did she sing?
uncomfortable. No, my mom is just a huge fan of music, like a or super fan of it, a fanatic. Like every Tuesday, go buy all the CDs that came out that she liked every Tuesday. That was just her thing.
You are like really big in the LA area. Like you have way respect out there.
Mm. Mm.
You do. And I've seen like your lives, your interviews, and I'm like, man, this dude is just like telling it like it is. Like that's what I like about you. You
I
just
appreciate that.
you just say it how it is. It ain't no
Try to.
sugarcoating.
Yeah, I try to. I try to be hella literal and really, make it really understandable. So it's dope to be understood, but part of you know, attempting to be a great artist is, allowing a space for you to be misunderstood and not always being over explained. So it's dope to
And
get
that
to your point and then make it, and that's it.
that's what you talked about on one of your live videos, and it was crazy you said that because I was like, I was gonna ask him that question: Have he ever been misunderstood, and how did he handle
Oh, a
it? And
lot
it
of
was like you
times.
answered it. It was like you answered it in that live. You was just like,
Nah, man. It's like the people keep asking me if Kanye is hip hop, and I was like, y'all taking one idea that I was voicing out loud when I was explaining that. The more I learned about hip hop, it just made me look at artists differently, and I was like, I had to
right.
come to I came to cross paths like that. I think Kanye was hip hop, and then next thing I know, that turned into Glasses thinks Kanye isn't hip hop, and I'm like, I never said that.
It's like today, I like how you talked about Puffy. You was like, a lot of these people wouldn't be around if it wasn't from him.
Yeah, and you just see people saying shit about, and that's all these execs. That's the Suge Knights, the Puff
Right,
Daddies,
right,
these people who really, did great by artists, marking
right.
and broken some of the greatest artists to ever, grace music. Period. Pretty much changed their lives and financially did well by them, but the general population seems to find these, and I blame the artists because the artists,
Right.
some of them are, they don't know, but some of them are being a bit manipulative with the general population and not admitting the role that Suge Knight played in their success. I
Right.
really appreciate it when Snoop does it. Snoop really is honest. Like he lets you know that Suge really did right by him now. And that's important to me
Right.
as men, that we do clarify people who do right by us versus, going with the wind and saying anything about somebody. I was
Right.
talking about it earlier and I'm like, he's giving Tupac $100,000 a month. 12 months before Tupac died, he was in prison. He came
Yes,
home to
that's why when you said that.
$100,000 a month, places, you know what I mean, uh, properties to live in, cars to drive, no bills. None of these bills are his. So all he
Right.
got was money. You know what I mean? He could have saved every dime. So if somebody tells me Tupac was broke when he passed away, I'm like, that means he just didn't save money because it wasn't like he had bills.
Right.
And so how somebody looks at Suge putting houses in his name and paying the rent, I look at that like, well, I got a free 100,000. I can go buy my own house and live in
Right.
Suge house for free.
Right.
Or
Right.
Puff, Puff, where it's like you talking about him giving Mace 250,000 for his publishing before he's making tons of hit records, and I'm like,
Right.
well, he gambled and he won. But what about all the 10 people he lost on that he gave that same money to when it didn't work out? So again, sometimes I do think the artists are being disingenuous and
Hmm.
really making a villain, you know what I mean? Because they know their
Right. Right.
fans need a villain versus them just making and holding themselves
Right.
accountable.
Right. I was like, dang, he was like, he lived to see him become a villain, like to see
Yeah.
himself as a villain. That's crazy.
And Puff was a hero for a long time. He was the
Right.
people everybody rooted for and they liked him. And Suge was the villain and Puff was the good guy. It's like, oh, and
Right.
now you fast forward 30 years later and people, oh, Puff, he gave somebody back their publishing. Oh, he gave me back my publishing when it ain't worth nothing. Nigga,
Right.
you
Right.
didn't buy it
Right.
back, he gave it to you, or Puff is beating this lady up. And I'm like, but this lady is not filing a criminal case, which I'm not to
Right.
say that's happening or not. I'm like, it just looks a little weird when it's just civil. And
Right.
I'm like, you hear all this stuff and every last thing is falling on Puff. He paid for, Pac to die. He beat this lady up.
Right.
He's not paying the artist. It's just shit on top of shit. And to watch
Just
saying
right.
you would think you would want him held accountable criminally for it, not just
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Then it
financially.
being
So even
yeah.
so, I don't know. I wasn't there, but and that's why you have a criminal court for a jury of your peers to decide.
Right.
So it's just weird that all this has happened in the Puff. And I remember this happened to Michael Jackson when I was younger. It was like everything negative that could come out on him
Right.
came out on
Right.
him.
Yeah. They did
So
poor
to
Michael
watch
wrong.
Puff maneuver through it and be wise enough to settle and figure it out and not
Right.
let it beat on his legacy. Like he has to survive being a villain long enough to become a hero again, maybe, or become an anti-hero. I don't quite know what this story looks like over here.
I like that. I like that. To become a hero, never know. So, like, how was the transition? Because I know you used to be signed to Sony, Cash Money. Like, how was that transition and transitioning from one label to another label? And now look at you.
Um, I guess the transitions weren't as bad because one of them was more of like an entry level thing, and I didn't get a
Hmm.
chance to see how the business worked. It was just sign a deal, make records, but nothing else happened.
Hmm.
So that wasn't much of an education. The Cash Money deal became more of an education because I watched Birdman and Slim, work records.
Hmm.
I watched them take Certified, my single with Akon, to radio and turn it into a top 50 song in the country. You know what I mean? And they showed me how. They answered all the questions that I wanted to know. And I watched Lil Wayne become the biggest artist in all of music. And with the
Yes.
Carter 3 and sell 1 million albums in the first week. And I saw the type of work ethic it takes. I saw the dedication, made me grow a different respect for him, just to
Hmm.
see somebody can be that exceptional at this. And it made me, it brought me to a crossroads to determine if I was going to keep doing this because it took that kind of commitment. And coming
Right,
into a space now as an independent, it definitely makes me have a lot more respect for what Mac 10, Birdman, Slim, Sony Urban, my A&R Malik, anybody who helped me, it made me grow a lot more respect because I had to do all of their jobs now.
right,
So it
right,
made me respect Katina Bynum, who was the product manager at Universal. It made me respect Rap, who was the A&R at Universal. It made me respect what everybody had to do a lot more. It made me respect what they had to do a lot more because having to do all of the work is completely different.
right. Because you send out your own merch and everything, right?
So
Finals, everything that you do.
every last thing, I had to check my vinyls myself. Like I had to check my test press myself. I had to get shout out to Dice who's helping me with my merch. My man Dice from Slow Feet Don't Eat. You know what I mean? But I have to oversee it. Um, Promotional tours. I have to make the calls. I'm in Atlanta, on a promo tour coming up. I have to make all the connections and make sure I schedule it and book the flights and the Airbnb and the rental cars and you're your own publicist. Work out my advertisements, stay on the label about opportunities. Shout out to Larry Jackson, shout out to Ebro, shout out to Greg, shout out to Carly, the people at Apple who reached back out to me and gave me placements, staying on top of them. Shout out to DJ Amen and people who helping me get my show on the mix list. I have to deal with it. Shout out to E-Man and Felly Fel for taking my calls at Power as I try to get it more in the mix show. Shout out to Jason at Title who got me 2 and 3 playlists. Look, just this much work, this huge load, and it makes you respect everybody that worked for you before. You know what I mean? Even though I never disrespected anybody, I never
Right,
disrespected Keith Brown, who produces all the Cash Money Records video. I always respected his job, and now I have to do it. So
right.
thankful I never disrespected them because I can call them and say, man, how the fuck did you do this?
You do
And
this.
somehow I'm able to manage. You know what I mean? So if you are an independent after that, you can't help but respect everybody who's Malcolm Miles and people who have done business for me before in my name. Like you have to respect it completely different because now you have to do everybody's job.
Right, right. And the overseer.
D, all the above. D,
Man.
all the above, everything.
Like going back, I was watching one other podcast and I loved how you graded Little Wayne compared to yourself in the game and stuff like that. Is that when you saw that you was learning and growing differently and you just had to really think about the transition or
Honestly, that's when I realized I wasn't good at it.
mm,
Before that, I thought I was pretty good. You sign a $1.7 million deal. They give you $750,000 and you're on top of the world. You have a hit single. You can't think you're horrible. You got to think to some degree you got something until
right,
you
right,
go into the studio with Lil Wayne and you're like, oh, I'm horrible. So this is what the gold standard is. Yeah, I'm like not even a bronze standard. Then I am, and you really learn firsthand what it takes to be that good, that type of
right,
dedication, and it wasn't. It really was a rude awakening, like a rude awakening. I got checked that day, and it wasn't him. He never did it disrespectfully. He never said anything about it. You just see what it looks like at that level, and you're like, yeah, long as you got ears and eyes, you'll realize you're not at that level.
mm.
As long as you can see the dedication and you can see the difference, you'll know it's just levels. And if you can't, you just don't have self observation of yourself. That's all. You don't have no self observation.
What would you grade yourself right now?
Now I'm probably a lot closer to a B.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a B. Like if Wayne is an A plus, at that time I probably was a D plus. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And at this point I'm probably a B minus or a solid B. But it took
Okay.
me, you know, 13 years of studying, practicing, not putting out music, learning, studying, learning, practice, work, learning, you know what I'm saying, to get to a B. And I don't even know if
Mhm.
I'll get to an A plus, but I thank God there's really no A plus hip hop artists in the game
Right.
today. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean? Like Killer Mike is the closest. I think J. Cole is pretty nasty, Kendrick, but they're all manageable. But
Right, right,
Kendrick is really good too. So, but prime Little Wayne is like prime Scarface or prime Snoop Dogg. Some of this shit is just, they're anomalies. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But everything else, is obtainable to some degree.
Okay. That's fair, B. Solid B.
Yeah,
Do you find it hard on some days that it's overwhelming, or
sure,
you don't you think about it but you don't think about it?
sure. Some days I'm not supposed to be able to do what I'm doing. I just am. It's my turn. It's my time to do it. I'm not
Right.
supposed to be able to do it, and nor would I convince anybody else that they can. It's just my time, and it's just a destined thing for it. It's like I worked my ass off to get to this space, and here I am. So nothing is going to stop me at this point. I'm going to pretty much be able to do whatever I need to do because God has positioned me and the work
Yes.
itself to get right here and do it.
So you got a new single coming out.
It's out. It just dropped
Yeah.
last week, The Lope.
Yeah.
I was telling DJ Quick this the other night, and I know he was like, "What is this little nigga talking about?" You know what I mean? But it was like I told him I never felt like I belonged until I was playing my test vinyl on a record player. He's like, I've had vinyls as singles, not albums, as
Right.
singles, and I just didn't even care. Like the
Right.
b-boy in me, the gangbanger in me just was like, okay, whatever. But now after all of this hard work and dedication and everything, to be able to play my test vinyls, on my test vinyls on a vinyl player, on a record player, and listen back to them and know that the vinyl is here and just all I put in to get here, I was telling him like I finally feel like I belong, like I finally paid all my dues, like over this last
Mhm.
13 years, like all this knowledge is culminating into a head and I feel it about to explode. And I was just telling him like I just finally felt like I belong at this point. Like I'm not just this street nigga getting over on hip hop. Like at this point, um, I'm a tried and true hip hop artist, like, and I'm really good. I'm as good as hip hop can be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not quite Snoop Dogg great or Jay Z great or Scarface great, but for sure today I'm as great as hip hop can be, and that's all you need to be. I don't need to be as good as Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan because they don't play no more. But I
Right.
need to
Right.
be as good as Steph Curry. I need to be as good as Kevin Durant. I need to be as good as LeBron James at this point in his career. And that's your only goal to dominate the game when you're playing in it at this time. Really earned the position that I'm in right now. Even though it's challenging, I've earned it the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
I take the position as serious and I'm not gonna stop till everybody know what time it is.
Any new collaborations coming out that we'll soon find out about?
Uh Shit, whoever dope, really. I'm trying to work something out to get Frankie Beverly on something. Trying
Okay.
to work something to get the Whispers from, the twins from the Whispers on some stuff.
Right. And I heard you going to the UK.
Yep, I'm going to England for a promotional tour. This is my first time as a promotional tour.
Wow.
So I just know that where I'm at right now, my messaging is hella important. I'm endorsed by the legends of the genre in general. I'm endorsed by
Mhm.
the top guys today. So it's my job to go out and really spread this message and bring my career home.
Have you seen the industry change from when you first started to present?
Not really. I mean, some people feel like it changed. I don't think so.
Hmm.
Um, I think what they look at can be a little different. Like at one time, they felt they needed talent to sell records. Now they feel like they need popularity to sell records. I guess that's a change, but it's still about selling records. So I didn't really look at it like a change. It pretty much is the same to me. You know,
Hmm.
um, They'll try to convince you ain't supposed to sell records till you go to Target and you see Taylor Swift's end cap at the front and she done sold all them CDs and vinyl. So somebody lying.
Right. Right.
Um, Nothing's changed.
Nothing's
They just
changed.
changing our mind. Their mind is not changed. Their mind has
Hmm.
not changed.
Well, I do want to thank you for like taking the time out and making a present because you are a legend. What would you tell someone that is trying to get to where you are? Like, what type of encouragement or words would you tell them to keep going?
Don't look at me. You need to be looking at Kendrick Lamar. You need to look at somebody that's at the top, not somebody who took the hard route. You know what I mean? If I'm talking to a new person, I tell you to look at Kendrick Lamar, study from the first day. Don't wait 6 years and to study. You know what I mean? Get your ass on the culture. Get your ass on the art. Start learning what records are. Start really getting into what hip hop is. Start getting into what marketing is the first day. You know what I mean? So that way you don't pound off 10 years of your life for 36 months of excellence.
Right,
That's what
right.
I would tell him. I would tell him, look at Kendrick, look at J. Cole, look at the other hip hop artists that are, at the top of the pyramid today.
Oh, before we go, you want to tell the people where they can find you on Instagram, your social medias?
Find me at thecriptstore.com, www.thecriptstore.com.
I'm gonna
If you
leave
want
that
to
in the
holler at me
bio
on
too.
Instagram, Glassesloc. But find me at www.thecriptstore, TheCripstore.com. I'm grateful.
I want
All
to thank
love.
you for coming
Thank you for
on.
having
Any
me.
last words you want to say before you go?
No, it's all love.
No.
Enjoy your holiday. Straight up.
All right. Stay in touch.
Yes, ma'am.